All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back with another post-fight discussion video. All right, y'all, got to talk about this one, y'all. Shout out to my girl, Chelsea Chandler. Not really going to do a full post-fight analysis because we pretty much saw how the fight went, round by round. But, yeah, let's talk about Norma Dumont and Chelsea Chandler. But, yeah, shout out to both of these ladies, man. They did some good build-up to this fight, had some crazy energy, riling each other up, some back-and-forth beef, But I'm glad at the end of the fight, they were able to dap it up and, show each other respect. And that's what it's about. Going into a fight, that's how it usually is, even if it's at school or wherever, two guys, they might have an issue. But if they can get into the cage, hash it out, and somebody can actually if one fighter can get the other fighter's respect, through that beating, they, at the end of the day, they can just shake hands, dap it up, and let that be the end of it, But, yeah, shout out to Chelsea Chandler. I still rock with her, definitely. But, just going into this fight, I felt like she had the tools to get it done and to neutralize some of the things that Norma Dumont had. But when it came down to it, like I said, Norma Dumont's speed was going to be an issue. Her size was still going to be a problem. I know Chelsea Chandler was coming in bigger, taller, but, Norma Dumont is not a small woman either. She still has her abilities as well to hold her own. She's a strong woman too, but when it comes down to it, it's just about levels. It's about levels. Norma Dumont, she still has a bigger body of work, in the UFC. She's faced a lot of different looks. And like I always say about Norma, like she doesn't really finish and look to finish in her fights, but she's faced a lot of different styles and she's had to evolve on the fly or adapt on the fly in these fights, which forced her to evolve as a fighter, so she had the experience level. So going into this fight, experience was a big factor. See, the Holly Holm fight, it could have been, but Holly Holm hasn't really changed much. She hasn't really changed much on that level. So experience didn't help her. But Norma Dumont, experience helped her. It really did help her throughout this fight. Chelsea Chandler, like I said, it's just about levels. Going back and looking at the fight as a whole, Chelsea has a boxing background. But when you start to really critique the boxing style of hers, more of an offensive, come forward type of fighter, it kind of plays into the speedy type of fighter, right? And me coming from that boxing background, I can break it down watching Chelsea. I'll say, Chelsea's coming in as a southpaw, but she's not really exploiting that style and using it to her full advantage. Why? Because, Chelsea's just coming straight forward in a beeline. She's not really setting up her footwork, and again, footwork is one of the most important parts of boxing as well as MMA. If you're not taking advantage of that southpaw style, you might as well be orthodox. For Chelsea, to me, it was about getting Norma Dumont into her power zone so where she could land some good body kicks and that straight left hand down the pipe. So in order to do that, Chelsea had to cut the octagon off, stalk her, not walk her down so much, but just stalk her. Walk her down when she's hurt, but stalk her throughout these rounds, make her feel cagey like Mayra Bueno Silva did to Holly Holm. See, these fights were kind of similar if you think about it. That's why I'm putting this out there, as a Chelsea fan. If she hears it, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you go back and look at what Mayra Bueno Silva did, she was putting on that effective pressure where Holly was feeling a little bit cagey, so she was throwing a lot of panic strikes. See, Norma Dumont, she was kind of setting the pace with lateral movement more so, where she could take a step aside, or this girl's just coming straight forward. So all I got to do is take a couple steps out, wait for her to come in, bang, 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 hit her with a couple combinations, step back out, right? And that's kind of how it played out. Whenever Chelsea Chandler would step into Norma Dumont's zone, she would be first, let that combination go. And that's what happened in that first round. She caught her with that right hand, that combination. It kind of stunned Chelsea. It might not have had a lot of power, but it forced her to run to the other end of the cage, to get her footing back. And like I said, we've seen that before. Sometimes you get rocked. It's best to run instead of just laying down, because if she would lay down, she might have got finished, or, she probably would have ate some more shots. Maybe clinch up or run to create space was probably the best thing for her to do at the time. It looked funny because everybody was laughing, like DC, he couldn't hold back, which had me kind of laughing because, DC he could not focus after that. He's taking it into the second round. But yeah, man, like for Chelsea Chandler's style as a boxer, I wanted to see her use that right jab more, use that right jab to kind of offset Norma Dumont's pacing. Norma Dumont never really felt like anything was coming at an awkward angle or anything that she's never seen before. So she just kept doing the same thing, playing a safe fight because she didn't have to worry about the straight left hand coming. But straight left hand landed a few times. Like, Norma Dumont got hit with some hard shots, and you could see that Chelsea does have power. She did have power, but sometimes when she would let her shots off, Norma Dumont would come back with her own combinations and just kind of take away her footing, and then they would have to go into a clinch. And Chelsea did land some nice knees to the body in the clinch. I felt like she held her own in the clinch. She just couldn't get Norma down because Norma's takedown defense was solid in this fight. Like, she couldn't get her fully down and really dominate. And Norma Dumont's defensive ground skills turned into offensive ground skills where she could just buy time on top position and win these rounds. She would just lay on her. And that's where she wanted to be, to avoid getting submitted, because you see every time she would try to create space, Chelsea Chandler would go for that armbar, so she would play it safe just by staying on top of Chelsea and riding the rounds out on the ground with ground control time. Another thing, was, I will say the punches of Norma were effective, but her kicks too. I think there was more power in the kicks because there was a couple hard calf kicks she landed on Chelsea where, it kind of took her footing out. It looked like they kind of hurt. She landed some good body kicks on Chelsea Chandler too. So, she was just mixing up her attack all the way around because, again, Chelsea's coming forward looking for the brawl. And like I said, as a southpaw, she probably should have been looking for more of like a punching match where she could set traps and, get Norma Dumont to walk into a trap. All right. Another thing, like I said, just about being a southpaw, like you've seen it in these other fights too, like with Amanda Nunes, Grasso, and of course, like Manon, like full-time southpaw, they could take full advantage with check right hooks and, straight left hands because, they're not just walking forward, they're measuring and giving their opponent a lot of space to make them say, okay, which way are they coming? They're asking that question to themselves, so it's just a learning experience for Chelsea Chandler here. She lost on the feet, she lost on the ground. I thought she would have fared better on the ground, but again, Norma Dumont, she's seen so many different looks. She's dealt with big girls, two bigger girls in Macy Chiasson, strong girls too in like Aspen Ladd, and she's controlled before with her flurry. So when it came down to it, her speed and her striking are on UFC level now. They're already, embedded in, as she's on the UFC level. So it wasn't really anything new that she was going to see when it came down to it, as I saw in that first round. Like, okay, she's settling in. She's been in the UFC now. Norma Dumont's probably going to, do better and better throughout the fight. Like the first round, I said, oh, it was a little shaky. Maybe Chelsea's going to wake up. But when Chelsea still had the same approach and didn't make adjustments with her, with her striking, then keeping her left hand up, Norma just settled in. And so I got this body kick, combinations, wrestle her down and win these rounds. That's what it was. So, it was 30-27. But, again, I still rock with Chelsea. I think it's a minor setback. It's good it happened right now in her career, early in the UFC. She's only, 2 fights in now, so she's 1-1. It's a humbling experience for her. It's not like, she came in, as this one-trick pony saying, I could beat everybody, and then, she gets knocked out or something like that. Of course, like I said, it's a humbling experience, which every fighter needs. But from here, she can definitely come back from it because she has those skills. They just need to be, she just needs to be caught up to speed as far as, letting things go and polishing up defense. Something I say about every woman now in the WMMA world, defense is important. Stop going in there and trading. A lot of these girls need to learn about defense and start measuring more and stop getting pulled into too many wars. It's one thing if you get pulled into a war by you don't have a choice. You got to fight back, right? But if you want to set the pace and look for a quick knockout, or you want to really go in there and back up some trash talk, got to set them up. You got to set it up, and you can't give your opponent them clean targets like that. So, man, real quick final thoughts. Again, still rocking with Chelsea Chandler. I think she can get back in there, her jiu-jitsu, on this level. I believe that it's still going to be a problem. She just has to get the bodies on her resume, work her way up just like Norma did, get the names like Norma did, and tighten up on her defense. Norma Dumont from here, she's just beating all these other girls, from different rankings, as far as from Danielle Wolf to a Chelsea to Macy to Aspen. I don't know what's next for her now because that's like the last featherweight fight that's scheduled. So I think from here, with the energy these two brought, I think they should invest in the featherweight division now. I think give these girls a chance, because if not, they'll have to go over to like PFL or something, But we'll see, guys. Let me know in the comment section what y'all thought, man. It was a wild one, man. You know, it was a wild grudge match. Yeah, give y'all thoughts in the comment section. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.